I am Andrea, and we're here at the Calgary Wildlife Rehabilitation Society. So every single year we receive a number of golden eyes. I'd say they're probably the second most common duck species that we receive here at CWRS. So these little guys came in as orphan babies. A lot of times waterfowl get orphaned when their mothers are taking them to water. Often they get hit, the mothers get hit on their way to water, and then we're left with a whole bunch of orphans that nobody knows what to do with. Of course, they bring them to us and we raise them up. Golden eyes are prone, they're high stress animal in captivity. So they're sometimes difficult to rehab, but these guys are doing really well, and we're looking forward to releasing them in a couple of weeks. Well, these little merlins came in, they were the cutest. They were little tiny balls of fluff, little nestlings that had fallen out of their nest and needed to be cared for. So we kept them in our clinic area in our own version of a nest that we get crocheted or knitted by volunteers that bring them in. And now they're getting a lot bigger and are just about ready to be released. They're almost adults, and we're looking forward to them going back out into the wild. Well, Swainson's hawks are one of the more common hawks that we see in southern Alberta. So they migrate from Argentina every year. They get here in about May. And then starting in about June or July, we start to see the babies. So these little guys came in as nestlings. That meant they were still needed to be in the nest. They weren't old enough to fly. They were little poofy fluff balls when we got them. Now, of course, they've grown in their adult feathers. But they're still fledglings, which means they still need to be fed by us every day. They're not old enough to hunt on their own, and they're not quite flying properly. So once they get a little bit bigger, they'll probably be here for another month. And once they're a little bit bigger and have reached adulthood and maturity, then they'll be ready to be released before their migratory window, which is really important for us to make sure that these animals get out before they need to migrate back to Argentina. So they'll start migrating by the end of September, early October, and we want to make sure that they're ready to go before then. Otherwise, they would have to overwinter with us, which isn't ideal. So we feel very confident that these guys are going to be released probably at the beginning of September. Well, CWRS is a charitable organization. We don't receive any direct government funding, and so all of our funding needs to come from the public through donations, corporate sponsorships, and granting boards. So we run on a very minimal budget, relying very heavily on volunteer to help us achieve our mandate. But we always appreciate the public donating to us because that's how we survive. We have been here for 22 years, and so we do appreciate the public coming out and supporting us and helping us to keep going for another 22 years.